So on DBD's 8th year anniversary broadcast stream, the devs revealed that we're finally getting 2v8 mode. During the stream they revealed some things that would be happening during the 2v8 mode, but it's not everything, and I do have some questions and thoughts. It's not a negative thing and all, it's just more so curiosity and so how everything will work, but we do know a handful of things that are coming because of what they said. So from what we know so far, we know that 2v8 is of course introducing 2 killers, 8 survivors. Alternatively, only a handful of killers though. Those killers being the first 5, which are Trapper, Wraith, Hillbilly, Nurse, and Huntress. As for survivors, those survivors being The White, Meg, Claudette, Jake, Nia, Fang, David, and Michaela. We do know maps will be extended and larger, those maps being Macmillian, Otto Haven, Coldwind, Crotus Pren, and Mother's Dwelling, with of course there being more generators. As for hooks, there won't be no hooks. Instead, similar to Pyramid Head, killers will send survivors to cages. This of course I think fits very well because of passive reasons, like how they mentioned, because who wants to worry about having to pick up a survivor to them potentially getting saved by another survivor while a handful of other survivors are on gens. It would just be too much, and it'll be too convoluted, especially on the killer side. It'll be a struggle. So I love that they added that. There will of course be more gens, but they didn't specifically say how many gens. I assume there will be 10 because it's twice as much as everything, but I'm pretty sure it will be 10 gens. I don't remember them saying the gen count in the video, but I'm assuming that anyway. Another thing they mentioned was killer and survivor classes. This one I was a bit iffy on because I feel like I need to see an example of it, because I understand the idea on paper, but I don't understand the idea on paper. Because we know perks won't be in this mode and that will be replaced by classes, but we still need to see what exactly these classes do. Like how exactly do they perform? Are they just perks loadout set for a certain killer, or one you could just choose? But we know classes are supposed to benefit your partner, that being if you're playing the killer, or your partners if you're playing survivor. On top of there being double generators, we also know that there will be double exit gates, hatches, and chests. So my guess is that there will be 2 more exit gates, that being 4 exit gates, in addition to hatch, and what, about 4 more chests, because there's usually 4 chests that spawn, right?
No.
I'm getting my DVD trivia wrong, I feel. And the last thing that we know is coming is killer power sharing, which sounds pretty dope on paper but does also sound pretty confusing, because I'm not exactly sure how this one will work, but I'll talk about this later. Now, some of my thoughts or concerns I have about this mode is of course the first one being the limited killers. Now, it's not that I have a problem with this. Of course they are testing this mode, they want to see how everything works and all, so I don't feel it's fair for people to pressure them and say that why aren't there more killers in this mode. So I rather them test it to see how everything works first before they even go above and beyond, if you know what I mean. I just feel like that's the more ideal route to go. However, it does kind of suck that it is only the first 5 killers. I say this for me personally because I barely even play any of these 5 first killers. I know for most people this probably isn't a problem, but it's like if I want to enjoy this mode, you know, if I want to enjoy this mode even more, because I feel like I am going to enjoy it regardless, I feel like I would enjoy it more with my desired killer, you know, instead of a handful of killers I'm forced to play as. Like the one I probably play the most out of the 5 is Trapper, second being the Huntress, and third being Wraith, then 4th would be Nurse, and then 5th would be Hillbilly. I'm dog water with Billy, yo. I suck ass with Billy. Like, you know what I'm getting at? Like, I understand the chaoticness of this mode would be great and it'll be a fun time, especially since it's finally 2v8 coming to this game. But I feel like that chaotic fun still awaits, because once this mode is fully fleshed out and tested and they add more killers to the mode, then that's why I feel like this mode would be 10 times more of a blast. They didn't say this in the stream, but thanks to Devoit, we know that you also can duplicate killers. This kind of hurt me a bit, I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty broken on the inside because I did want to play as Ghostface with another Ghostface. Like, come on, how cool would that shit be to see a Ghostface peek around from a corner only to run away from that Ghostface, to then see another Ghostface pop around from another corner and just attack you or whatever, ambush you. I think that would be so dope, just having 2 ghost faces work together in the match. A handful of the same killers can make a good time too. Like 2 dredges could be kind of dope. Just a nightfall followed by another nightfall, constantly being dark throughout the match, unless they share the nightfall, but I think a consistent nightfall would be better. 2 trappers also be kind of annoying because you have to constantly watch the floor and disarm the traps, especially if they carry that one add-on where you already have all your traps on you and they can just place it anywhere they want. Can make for some hellish times. killers. Like, there's potential with duplicate killers, so I actually hope they consider that at some point. 2 death slickers. 2 singularities would be nuts as well. Thinking about that, that's kind of cool. You would just see biopods everywhere, yo. But I'm also curious about 2 major things within 2v8 mode, and it's mainly on the killer side, that being hit validation and chase music. How would both those things necessarily work in this mode? Because say you got a huntress with another killer, I would say nurse, and she could cover more ground in such a short time. Say a huntress throws a hatchet at a survivor, right? The nurse could just cut that survivor off whilst they're still running and still have that sprint burst that they get when they get hit, attacking the survivor right at that time so quickly. Do they get some sort of endurance, or do they just get downed regardless? Since it's such a short window when a survivor gets hit by a huntress, than to just get hit by a nurse almost immediately. You get where I'm going? I'm not saying that if a survivor gets downed instantly that would be broken and all, because this mode is supposed to be chaotic. That's the theme in this mode, and it's something you should expect in 2v8 mode where everything is technically double. But I could definitely see it getting pretty annoying at some point, especially when you start to see it very often. I feel like Huntress and Nurse would definitely be a powerful duo in this mode. I feel like that would definitely be the #1 go-to. Now with the chase music is a question in itself, because say if one killer, say Trapper, is at the far left side of the map, the far upper left side of the map, right? 32-meter tear radius music, and you have Hillbilly who's on the far bottom right side of the map, 32-meter tear radius. If they both start to merge together, right, and then you have Billy with his unique chase music, not even the default music that usually plays with other killers, when they start to merge together, would the music, like, would they just share chase music at that point? Does unique chase music just turn into default chase music in this mode exclusively? Very curious to see how that works. Maybe there's 2 type of icons to show the 2 type of killers that's approaching you, whether that's Trapper or Hillbilly or any other type of 2 killers. I don't know exactly how that will work, but maybe I missed something. Let me know down in the comments. Another point I want to get at too is, why are there limited survivors if survivors are technically reskins from one another with unique perks, if that makes sense? Because that's exactly what's the case. Survivors don't have their own unique type of power unless you want to count that as their perks, but even then that's not their own unique personal power, because other survivors can share that. They could have the same thing they got. It's not like if I only play Leon, right, I'm the only one who has the flashbang because I'm specifically Leon. No, the white could have that flashbang and blind the bitch. So you see what I'm getting at? Maybe because, like how I said in the basics, there are killer and survivor classes, which needs to be talked about a bit more. I feel like that topic in itself is kind of vague with the classes, and it needs to be talked about more, or even an example shown. Because my thing is, why are there limited survivors if you can just pick a class? I'm assuming you could pick a class. If that's not the case and the survivor has a specific set class, that's different. But if you can just choose a class on the survivor, why does it matter what survivor I have? Because survivors are just reskins of themselves. It wouldn't make sense if my favorite is Meg, yet I want to pick Michaela because she has Boon Circle of Healing or something like that, knowing I could equip that class that has Boon Circle of Healing on Meg as well. I hope this makes sense, because in the stream they did talk about survivor classes that would have looping, healing, etc. So I'm guessing those would be perks that of course revolve around looping, healing, etc. Another point I want to get at is, how exactly does killer power sharing work? Like I said in the basic of things, there will be killer power sharing. We heard from one of the devs in the stream this.
And it'll work a little differently for killers. You'll be able to choose from one of the 5 original killers, each with their own specific gameplay. Killers obviously have powers, so they don't have classes in this mode, but we will be introducing a new mechanic, which is a team power. For example, if you are the Wraith, when you cloak yourself, if your teammate is within a certain radius of you, they will also get the undetectable status effect, allowing you to coordinate a sort of team stealth attack. Should make for some entertainment.
So that means if Wraith is undetectable, then that means another killer can potentially be undetectable. But my question is, I'm kind of confused on this part. What if it's not for something that's specifically undetectable, if you know what I mean? Like, is this their way of trying to synergize killer chemistry, killer power chemistry to be specific? Because say for example in the future, right, if any killer partners with Dredge, they would benefit off the Nightfall as well. So they're probably testing those killer power chemistries as we speak. Like, does any other killer besides Wraith get that power sharing mode? I'm talking about the 5 that we have for right now during testing, so that's what I'm kind of curious about. But then again, it's like it kind of makes sense for Wraith specifically because he's the only one that has that passive ability out of the 5. You can't really share any other killer's ability unless you're completely sharing their power, which just wouldn't make sense because that would be giving a different killer another killer's power on top of their own power, if that makes sense. So what, a Huntress is supposed to also carry traps? Nurse is also supposed to carry a chainsaw? Like, you know what I'm getting at? It makes sense for Wraith because he's just undetectable. That's something that's passive. Any killer could be undetectable if they carry a certain perk or add-on, right? But anyways, that was just my thoughts on 2v8 getting announced. Finally, we are getting 2v8. I can't wait for this mode. I think it's gonna be so much fun, and I think it's just healthy for the game to bring chaotic, non-competitive modifiers like this into the game because it's finally taking the stress off the repetitive cycle of the game. It could get miserable sometimes playing as both sides, whether you're survivor or killer, most notably killer in my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Chaos Shuffle. I love to play just randomly with random perks sometimes, and maybe even just play killers I don't usually play. And the fact that survivors don't have to carry around perks that they would necessarily abuse in the ordinary game mode, it's kind of fun just getting the hang of a certain killer that you don't usually play in Chaos Shuffle because the potential stress of strong perks is reduced tremendously. So I really appreciate Chaos Shuffle for that. But the fact that we're getting a mode that's really doing something diverse with the game in a pretty simple way, because it's really just doubling things. It's still the same game mode and everything, but it's just everything is larger now and more chaotic, which I love. I feel like a lot of people is gonna love this mode, especially when we actually see it branched out to the point where they add a lot more killers to the mode, because I feel like they will progressively add more killers to this mode, not necessarily it being where they test the mode out now and then after testing it, then every single killer is in this mode now. No, I don't think it'll work like that. I think it'll work where they will just progressively add like 5 more killers every time they do an update or something like that, like a major update. But I could be wrong, that's just my speculation. But how do you guys feel about 2v8 finally coming to Dead by Daylight, the mode that I'm pretty sure everyone been waiting for, if not most people? Are you yay about the mode? Are you nay about the mode? How do you feel? Let me know down below. Love y'all, take care. I'm gonna see you on the next one. It's good to be back, and peace.